All right. Hello and welcome to the second episode of the 1080 podcast, 1080 cast.
Yet to be named.
Tentative title. So this is our second episode. First episode went great. If you haven't seen that, go watch that on youtube.com/student gamecock television, SGTV. So yeah.
It was great. I loved it. I got a shout out.
Yeah. So I am your host, Ben Abrahamian. Joining me this week is Sally Wardlaw.
Hello. It's so nice to be here. Thank you.
Connor Anthony.
What's up? Back here again.
And Scott Moore.
Hello.
So this week, we have loads to talk about. First of all, the Oscars happened on Sunday. We're not going to talk about that because everyone else is already talking about that. Yeah. There's nothing we can say that's going to add to that discussion.
Big shout out to Ben, though. He predicted 16 out of 17? 24 categories. I didn't watch the Oscars, but he knew exactly what was happening.
So there was an extra credit opportunity for one of my classes where we had to guess more correct than the teacher, and the teacher got 19.
Dang.
Yeah, I was blown away. So let's get right into it. This week we're going to talk about the recent amazing success of Black Panther. So for those of you who don't know, according to boxofficemojo.com, Black Panther has earned $500 million in the U.S. and $905 million worldwide. It is now the 9th greatest opening of all time. So it's like the Marvel train will just not stop rolling. So basically what I want to pose to you guys is it a surprise that Black Panther is such a huge success, or did you see this coming from a mile away? Thoughts?
I don't know if I saw it being this big. I knew that it was going to be a big movie, just because it's Marvel and it's the first, predominantly African American cast, in especially a movie this big, and so I figured it would be a hit. But the fact that it has blown up this big this quickly, I think, surprised a lot of people. But I think it's awesome that it has.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm so excited for the future of diversity, since this proves diversity really freaking sells.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people are saying, aside, it's diversity play, it's just a great movie, which, if you've seen any other Marvel movie, it's basically like that. It's like Doctor Strange, but in Africa, to me.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. So, yeah, just the massive success was so, I think, expected and unexpected by some people. I thought it would get Deadpool numbers. Deadpool made around $700 million by the end of its run. And, that is nothing to look away from. But what were you gonna say?
Another amazing thing is when it just came out, was hearing how packed all the theaters around here they were sold out.
Yeah.
Just to see a movie just a Marvel movie be that well attended. So right when it comes out is amazing. I didn't expect that.
I feel like Marvel's kind of been on a bit of an upswing lately.
Yes.
I know at least for me, over the last 2 or 3 years, I've been a little fatigued with Marvel movies. That's still something I kind of feel, and unpopular opinion, I don't think Black Panther was all that amazing compared to I don't think it stood out amongst other Marvel movies. I still think it was it was good and it was enjoyable. I just thought it was very formulaic. I don't think they took too many risks with it story wise. They didn't do anything too different compared to the rest of the MCU so far. But I think within the last year or so, I think Marvel has been trying a little bit harder and doing a couple different things with their movies to try to maybe combat a bit of that fatigue that people have been feeling.
Mm-hmm. I have a question.
Yeah.
So I heard that Thor Ragnarok from the last podcast that you all should listen to was funny and entertaining. Does Black Panther have that same sort of vibe? Or what can I expect?
Black Panther keeps the typical Marvel level of humor, which I'm not a big fan of. Thor Ragnarok personally is my favorite Marvel movie so far, which I wasn't really expecting going into it because the first two weren't all that great, but I knew that Taika Waititi was directing it, and I've loved everything he's made. I think he's hilarious, so I was excited to go into this one, and I came out loving it. And I think what they did with that one, which made it stand so much apart for me, was that they just kind of took this underlying humor that they try to just stick into every Marvel movie, but they just let Waititi and the cast just run with it, and they just let it be a full-blown comedy instead of trying to make it an action movie where they have a couple jokes every now and then and have those jokes end up being pretty forced. I thought that this one was much more... the tone provided a lot more moments for there to be comedy. Like, the characters themselves were... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Thor Ragnarok. Now that we're back on that movie. But
I have another question. So, from Thor Ragnarok, again, sorry to bring it up, but I heard the effects were really cool. What about Black Panther?
I thought personally, like, Black Panther's effects were kind of weak. Like, whenever there was, like, some wide shot of Wakanda or something like that, it looked like a video game cutscene. Mm-hmm. Like, which, I don't know. I think Marvel's, like, I don't know the specifics about the effects, but I wonder what it would be like if they use, like, miniatures and kind of more practical stuff for that. Because, like, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
But,
I think that...
I mean, they were up to par with other Marvel movies,
definitely. Yeah. It wasn't, like, worse than that, but I think that there's a lot of moments where it was just more. Like, there was a lot of stuff that it was very clearly, like, a lot of green screen, and there was a lot of times where I didn't feel like, oh, I'm watching these people have a battle on the savannas of Africa. I'm watching people stand on a green screen stage. Yeah.
It's essentially a cartoon at this point. Like, with live-action actors. Yeah. Like, that's pretty much what you're paying to watch now.
Yeah. It was pretty on par with every other Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm. So, I had the similar reaction to Scott, that it was kind of just like, it was a Marvel movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, you know, so ridiculously, but like, it was good. I didn't feel like I wasted my money. So, do you think that could turn people off from, like, either the new Avengers or, like, a Black Panther sequel? Just that, like, everyone was so hyped about it because it was so new, and now that it's not so new, people might, you know, not be itching to go opening weekend or whatever.
I think that, at least what I'm hearing from most people is that you and I are kind of the minority. What I'm hearing is that everybody else loves this movie and thinks it's fantastic and amazing, which, I mean, that's good for them. I don't judge anybody for thinking that. But, like, I think that, I think Avengers Infinity War is going to have massive success regardless, and I think that coming off the tail end of this Black Panther hype is also going to help that a lot too, especially since Black Panther's in it. And from what I've seen from the trailers, it looks like it takes place in Wakanda a good bit.
At least part of it.
Yeah, so I think that Avengers Infinity War will definitely be boosted a little bit by this movie, and I think that a Black Panther sequel would also do extraordinarily well. Mm-hmm. Probably not as well as the first one, but that's just typically how that goes.
Yeah. So what do you think would, like, cause a complete flip for Marvel? Because right now they're killing it. They had Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians 2. Mm-hmm. All of them were generally, like, well received and killed at the box office. Mm-hmm. So what is going to happen when, like, you know, their box office receipts get down to, like, 60 million, which is still a lot of money, but it's not enough for Marvel. Mm-hmm. What do you think could, like, cause that to happen, I guess?
Maybe if they recast Spider-Man again.
The, like, 8th Spider-Man in 10 years. I mean, from my perspective, it's kind of like people are kind of getting worn out. Like, that's the general vibes you get from everyone. Like, another superhero movie. But then everyone goes to see these movies on opening weekend, or at least the next weekend, and they make hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. And it's not, you know, like, just catering to foreign audiences, but they are doing well here, too. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know.
I definitely think, like, the Marvel kind of superhero kind of formula definitely works to where you'll find, like, an audience that really wants to see this type of movie, you know, whatever it may be. So, I mean, looking forward, I mean, seeing how well Black Panther did, even though, like, that was kind of seen to be, you know, a success, I definitely think others could follow along. It's just coming out as, like, oh, like, this huge, you know, no one saw us coming being this big. It just happens, you know, it could happen again.
I think that this is just really par for the course. Like, Hollywood has always gone through periods where they just churn out one of a certain kind of movie. Like, you know, in the 30s and 40s it was westerns, and, you know, in the 80s and stuff it was like sci-fi action movies and all this other sort of stuff where people will go and see these movies and they'll make a lot of money for a really long time, and eventually people just kind of like, okay, we've seen this a million times already. I think that...
Well, before that it was like dark dramas like, you know, Chinatown and The Godfather that were so popular.
Mob movies for a long time. Yeah. But I think that with Phase 1, before it was technically called Phase 1, I guess, like, Marvel kind of struck into that untapped potential of, like, there's this whole well of material that we can pull from to make movies, and we don't even have to do all that much work because we can just adapt something. But then they, with Phase 2, I feel like they kind of sort of tired it out a little bit. They didn't do too much new or introduce anything. And then I think Phase 3, they've sort of shaken it up. They've introduced a lot of new characters, especially ones that people have probably never really heard of before. Mm-hmm. Black Panther was probably not all that popular. Doctor Strange, definitely people have not heard of before.
I think it's fair to say that before Iron Man came out, no one knew who Iron Man was. Like, I didn't know, and I, consider myself a nerd in elementary school.
Yeah.
And I did not know who Iron Man was.
Isn't his contract running out?
Yeah, pretty much except for, like, Chris Hemsworth, I think. I think Chris Hemsworth is the only one who is like, yes, please let me.
Chris Hemsworth and
Chris
Mark
Evans?
Ruffalo?
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
No.
Chris Evans wants out.
Chris Evans wants out. Robert Downey Jr. definitely wants out. Which is my biggest problem with Marvel movies thus far, and why I was starting to get sick of them, was there's just never been like stakes. I feel like stakes that I like care about, And I think Avengers 2 was kind of a movie that sort of started this off for me. Was like back in like all through high school, especially like in like 2012 when we got Avengers and Dark Knight Rises, and like the superhero thing was sort of really starting to kick into full gear. Me and my friends were hyped. Like we were going to all these midnight releases. We were so excited for these movies, and so I was really getting into it. And then Avengers 2 happened, and I was like, that was okay. Like that. I really just don't think that was all that good of a movie. And there was no stakes. There was this huge like world-ending event. They're gonna drop this city, and the whole planet's gonna explode. And the only person that they killed was the character they introduced that movie. Mm-hmm. And then
so, real quick, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Like I thought there were no stakes in Age of Ultron, whatever. Mm-hmm. And like it made me realize that why do I like care so much about Marvel movies? And then like I watched it again. I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be stupid, and I'm gonna watch them all fight around this like floating city, and it's gonna be awesome. Mm-hmm. And like I'll just enjoy for that. I'm not gonna look for any kind of philosophical, like machines versus man kind of stuff. I'm just gonna watch these heroes bumping together. Like it's like you're watching a guy just saying like, and then Iron Man goes like this, and like it's like watching a kid like play with action figures.
Yeah.
Which is like, if that was the rest of Marvel, like I would personally be okay with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like they don't spend a lot of time on characterizations, so
yeah,
they do. It's just these characters now that we have how many movies? 18, 20 movies.
Something like
these characters develop over the movies. They like there's Tony Stark has a huge arc in Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1 is I think one of the best ones that's happened so far. I think it was when it came out, it was incredibly innovative, like CGI wise. I remember seeing trailers for that movie, and we get the shots inside the mask, and you get like the heads up display in front of him, and I was like, I was 10 years old, and I was like, what is this? This looks so cool, and then I think that they were really on like kind of forefront of doing that stuff. And Tony Stark got a nice little arc in that movie where he started as this, not bloodthirsty, but like nonchalant weapons dealer, and then he ends up carrying. But I think that a lot of these movies, the arcs kind of have to go across a couple of them, so it's hard to follow them when you're watching just one movie every couple of years.
I think Captain America is a good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the first Captain America, you see him just like trying to be the hero, and that's it.
He doesn't really change at all as a person. Like he gets bigger and he becomes Captain America.
He literally
changes, but like he doesn't learn anything. He doesn't grow. Okay, well, you know what I mean.
And then like Winter Soldier, he kind of learns to not trust somebody.
Yeah.
But like again, that's over a 2-hour and like 20-minute movie. Mm. That's like the one thing. And then by Civil War, he's like not trusting anybody, and he's learning that there is no good or bad.
But then there's also, he gets some development in Avengers and Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Like, there's 5 movies that you have to watch to get this arc for this guy.
Yeah. And then like by the time, at least for me, by the time I watched Civil War, I was like, oh, I love Captain America. But like I had never said that before.
Yeah.
And so and like I wasn't a fan of Winter Soldier, but that
Civil War for me was the one that put the nail in the coffin, where I was kind of just like, I'm kind of done with these. Like I was really excited for Civil War because like finally, Civil War is a huge event in the comics, and it's like cataclysmic in terms of these characters and their relationships. And then we get to it in the movie, and the whole fight is 8 of them on an airport, and then no spoiler for a movie that came out 2 or 3 years ago, nobody dies. Like they didn't kill anybody. Like I was like, this could be the perfect moment. Like have one of them kill another, and like that is a that could be a huge moment for these characters and for this group of people.
To me, that was like when that fight started, I knew like, okay, like they're just messing around. They're just like, you know, brothers and sisters picking at each other. Like, but at the end of that movie, I feel like there's a really emotionally like strong kind of finale with Tony Stark and Captain America, Steve Rogers, whatever. So I think what we're kind of getting at is like what Marvel needs to do to keep this train going is to kind of have their characters more fleshed out, not over 13 movies.
Yeah, and they also, I say this, but it will never happen. Like, treat them less as property, whereas, you know, I'm going to book this actor for 8 movies and I'm going to make $100 million off of each movie, and, you know, like, instead, like, I know that going into this movie, everybody's going to live to the end. It's going to be a happy ending, yada, yada, yada. That's kind of why I'm finally, you know, excited for a Marvel movie with Infinity War, because Robert Downey Jr.'s contract's up and he wants to get out. So I'm thinking, okay, finally, maybe we can get some sort of stakes, at least in terms of the characters and not just the world, you know, because...
Although from a business standpoint, I kind of understand, because the actors have the security that they have jobs aligned for these
that's why so many,
definitely understand. Like,
that's why so many A-list actors are like going to TV now, because like they get a paycheck every year. Every year.
And similarly, like with TV shows and any sort of thing that they're marketing, like they want to keep you interested in the next one.
Yeah.
So if they like lay all their cards on the table for this certain character in one movie, then maybe you're not exactly invested to see what happens later.
I mean, I definitely get why they do it. I mean, if you had a machine that printed money, I wouldn't turn it off. Like, but that's why I'm kind of excited for at least the next phase. I guess it's phase 4 starting soon, where like finally with Infinity War, we'll probably get 1 or 2 of these guys killed off. And then we're bringing in more characters who might shake it up a little bit. I know we're getting Captain Marvel next year.
Yes.
I don't remember what other ones they have up on the slate that are new people, but I'm glad that at least they're hopefully they'll shake it up enough to keep it interesting. And
I'm really interested in how after, you know, Chris Evans inevitably dies, or not Chris Evans, Captain America inevitably dies, and Tony Stark inevitably dies. Will people continue going to see like Avengers movies? I guess the response to Black Panther is like people are in for obscure characters as long as either A, they're really cool and like have a cool movie around them, or B, they like are looking for themselves in those characters. But yeah, I guess like will it continue on after, you know, the line is passed down?
I think it's
I'm so sorry.
I think it's definitely got a few more years in it at the very least. I think that so far 2018 has provided a good little boost for it, and I think Infinity War is also going to probably rev the hype train back up a little bit. But how much longer, I don't know. It will not be able to last forever, but they also have this infinite pool of 80 years of comics that they can pull from at this point, with all these stories and all these characters that haven't been seen before. So they've got an endless supply. We'll just see when people get sick of it, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely think like these next few years definitely going to be a big like transition, depending on what they decide to do with, you know, the past characters that, you know, contracts are running up, all that we said before.
I almost wonder if they'll reboot it. Like, I could see that, or just have it be like James Bond, where like you just recast.
There's another guy to refill the last guy, just keep it going.
At least with James Bond movies, you only get one every 4 years instead of 4 every 1 year.
So one thing I want to bring up with the Black Panther box office discussion is Justice League. So I think like we all kind of knew what Justice League was before, you know, the Dark Knight and all that. Like, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I know there was the cartoons in like the late 90s and early 2000s. I watched those all the time.
Yeah.
Like that was big for people our age. So I think we all I think we were all at that age where we've sort of been exposed to superheroes a lot more than maybe, say, our parents had.
At the very least, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and like even Aquaman and the Flash.
And Green Lantern maybe too.
Yeah, are much more recognizable than Iron Man was before 2008.
Definitely.
Of course.
So that being said, Justice League kind of bombed at the box office. I mean, it made $657 million worldwide, which you would think would be a success, but I don't think Warner Brothers sees it that way at all.
So I have a lot of feelings on this.
Okay. I haven't actually seen Justice League, so I can't comment
on it.
I haven't
seen it either.
But I've seen the rest of the DC movies, and I'm not a fan.
Okay.
But go ahead.
My first point when will we decide as a group, a family, a world that Ben Affleck cannot act?
Oh, I thought he was really good in Batman v Superman. I heard he was terrible.
He was my favorite part of Batman vs Superman, honestly.
I heard he was not good in Justice League, but only because of like his character, not anything he did.
I think he's terrible, and I never enjoy watching him on screen. Also, another thing that was super weird is, so I watched all these movies within a matter of like 2 days just because someone made me. And when I saw the Superman movie or whatever, it was stylized. Yeah, Man of Steel. It was stylized a certain way. And then when I saw him in the Justice League movie, he looked like a completely different person just because of the way they filmed it.
I don't know if you heard about that, but he had like a mustache that they had to CGI out. So that might be why. But also, I think like they got notes back on Batman v Superman that it was like too dark and like had no color. So they went in to whatever effects they use and just brightened the whole thing up. So that might be what you're talking about. Also, Zack Snyder has a very specific style of dark, brooding, super self-serious, which they kind of abandoned for Justice League, I heard. But still, like, that's just kind of his style, and like people like it, people don't.
I think the only time it's really worked has been 300. Yeah, that's just me.
I mean, I liked Watchmen.
I did do Watchmen. I thought Watchmen was pretty good.
Yeah, it's not like a good like service to the comic. Like there's a lot, but like it's really pretty to look at, and if it's on cable, I'll turn it on and watch it. But yeah, so Justice League should be the coolest movie of the year, and I have not seen it, and I don't really have any intention or desire of seeing it.
I just think that's because DC continuously shoots themselves in the foot with every movie they put out. Like I really don't get it. They have all this money that they put in these movies, and they can't just hire a decent writer. I really don't get it. Like, Man of Steel was okay. Suicide Squad, what came next? Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman? Batman v Superman was pretty bad.
Awful.
Suicide Squad physically hurt me to watch. It was so bad. I was watching I was probably with like 5 or 6 of my friends. They were trying to find a movie to watch, and they said, "Oh, let's watch this." I was like, I did not hear it was good. And my one friend was like, "No, I saw it was pretty good." And they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll watch it then." And I was like, oh. So I was like, I guess I'll see it so I can finally like have an opinion on it. And it was
the worst.
It was awful. It was awful. And then I found out that they let because everybody loved the trailer so much that instead of letting an actual movie editor edit this movie, they gave the trailer house the movie to edit.
Which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And you can see it when you watch the film.
There's no coherence.
It's so disconnected. It's so like there's music choices in it that don't make any sense at all. It's literally what's on the director David Ayer's like iPod. Like let's throw that in the movie.
I was excited when I heard he was directing it because I really liked Fury. I thought Fury was awesome. World War II movies are like my thing, and
Fury
I love Fury.
Great. So when I heard he was doing Suicide Squad, I was like, oh hell yes. And then whatever happened.
So there was a lot of studio interference with that, but also if you look at David Ayer's filmography, I think he did Fury and End of Watch.
I liked End of Watch a lot too.
And those are the only 2 movies that he's done that are good. And he's made 3 more movies since then that have just been critically panned. Because he did Bright, which came out this year or last year. And people hated that.
Really? I knew it was critically panned, but I heard like just the general audience loved it, especially since it got such a wide release just on Netflix. Like everybody figured it got really promoted, and I heard that a lot of people liked it. I didn't watch it though.
Yeah, I almost want to watch it just to like get my own opinion, but like after watching the trailers, like I just cannot see that being cool or awesome in any way.
I heard the best part of that movie was the world, and then the story and characters weren't all that great. But like people are really interested in like.
Sounds like Blade Runner.
Yeah. The
first
whoa!
No, the first one.
Oh, the first one.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we were about to come to blows here.
So Justice League should be great, but DC just cannot.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. It's not written. It is like made like a Frankenstein's monster.
It's a movie by committee.
There's a bunch of producers in a room looking at what Marvel does and Disney and says, okay,
hit this.
Quippy
check.
lines, lots of heroes,
Yeah.
lots of CGI action that we don't know how to animate as well as they do.
I really don't get how. Also, with all this money, all their action scenes still look like a video game from 2008.
Yeah, even Wonder Woman, which people liked, I could not watch those action scenes. They were disgusting.
My opinion on Wonder Woman was that the first 2/3 of it were pretty good, and then the last 1/3 they took all the momentum they had and just threw it in the trash.
I wholeheartedly.
Especially that last I thought that the whole No Man's Land World War I battle scene looked pretty good. It didn't it looked like a Zack Snyder movie, but it wasn't I know it wasn't Zack Snyder, but it kept the DC kind of style. But I thought that was still pretty good. And then we get to this last fight between Wonder Woman and the big bad of the movie, and it again looks like a video game from 2008. It just there was so many better ways they could have taken that fight and made it given it some meaning and some emotion and all this kind of stuff. But then they just trashed it, and I maybe suffered heavily because of it.
Another thing I'll say about Wonder Woman, it did make $121 million worldwide, which I think Warner Bros. Would call a success, because I don't think they put as much money into that as Batman v Superman as Justice
I
League.
definitely don't think they did.
So I think that's their one success that they're kind of holding on to, that people thought, okay, maybe it's turning around, and then they went right back and fell on their face. So I think, I honestly think DC could end up hurting Marvel at the box office, because their movies are so terrible often, not Wonder Woman, some would say. They're so awful, and they're fatiguing these people, giving these people fatigue. It'll just drive people away from the theaters whenever they see superhero whatever. I think, especially if they pump them out as much as Marvel does. If for every Marvel movie there's another Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman, I will get burnt out. I know that for a fact.
I think that most people can probably. I don't know if DC will be the one to start hurting Marvel, just because I think people kind of at this point the general public pretty much knows this is DC and this is Marvel, and they kind of keep it separated. They even the two movies stylistically and visually, these two series have very different visual styles as well,
and kind of tonal styles.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say not the worst part, but something that bothered me is that Wonder Woman tried to do the humor of Marvel movies, and the humor wasn't necessarily bad, but you could tell they were trying so hard. And that really bothered me.
Can we talk about one joke in Black Panther that made me actually facepalm?
Is it the what are those?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Talk about literal cringe. I actually cringed in the theater, and I looked at my sister. I saw it with her, and she was doing the same thing.
Yeah, I don't really give movies a generally a something out of 10 movie, but if I did, in my head I was that one joke just took this movie down a whole point. Y'all can try to be funny, but what are those? That is
the joke from a year and a half ago that wasn't funny.
Way more than that. It's even older of a meme.
I think it feels older only because it's just been
because meme culture's so fast.
Yeah.
Oof. That one. It was so forced too. It wasn't even
there wasn't even an opportunity for a joke. She just literally went.
She's
hey,
had
what are
her
those?
camera out and went, hey, what are those? And he's like, they're my slippers.
I think the worst part about that for me was that everyone in the audience gave a chuckle, oh, I remember that. So I think people might share that on Twitter or something like that and be like, hey, remember this joke? That was funny.
Yeah.
So maybe we're not the intended audience. I mean, it is kind of like a children's movie at this point.
Yeah.
I have to say that we're pretty strong memers. We are the audience.
Yeah, I guess so. And then
we like fresh memes. We like fresh memes though.
You gotta keep them going. You can't,
I mean, you think they probably filmed this 6 months ago?
Probably. Definitely still at that point.
Even at that point, that meme is at least a year old.
But yeah. But back to the Wonder Woman and the humor thing. I just think that. I think that in general, comics-wise, DC does a lot of really dark stuff and they do it really well. And then comics-wise, Marvel is a lot less dark, and I think they've kind of tried to do that with the movies, but with DC, it's fallen very flat on its face.
We can also talk about Logan. Went way dark, hard R-rated drama.
Thank you, Lord.
Totally different direction than what we're used to, and I think everyone loved it. I have not met a single person who said, yeah, Logan was okay.
Yeah, Logan wasn't just a good superhero movie. It was a fantastic movie as a whole. It doesn't even feel like a superhero movie. It just feels like like a modern day Western about this dude who just happens to have
And the best
powers.
the best part for me, you could have that context for the movies, but it's not necessary. I think
Exactly.
there's emotional
Yeah.
context there that helps,
Mhm.
but you don't need it.
Yeah.
If you have never seen an X-Men movie, you could go watch it and think it's a phenomenal movie.
Mhm.
Here to say, I did big freaking spoiler here. It's Hugh Jackman's movie. Nobody told me this. I cried at the end.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, yeah.
It's Hugh Jackman's last movie.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
didn't know though.
He did say that if there was going to be a crossover with the Avengers, he would come back. Now that Marvel bought Fox, or Disney bought Fox.
So has that deal gone through yet?
I thought it did go through.
I thought like there was some antitrust issue and like they're still kind of working it
Gotta
out.
trust bust those bastards.
I mean, honestly, when I think about that deal, it scares me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But they didn't like buy all of it. They just bought.
They just bought the movies and television.
Yeah.
So basically, like,
Yeah.
90% of Fox. I believe it was like 21st Century Fox. Is like
All
their
hail the
movies.
mouse, man. All hail the mouse.
Yeah. So okay, I guess we're talking about this already. So Disney buying Fox
Yeah.
and potentially incorporating the X-Men into their Marvel movies.
Which, if we're going to talk about keeping this Marvel train going, that's a whole.
That would be
Yeah.
a real shot in the leg. I think I am not for it. I am totally fine because if
Mhm.
Fox was a part of Marvel, we would not have gotten Deadpool. We would not have gotten Logan.
Mhm.
I really like. There's a different feel and style to the X-Men movies, like
Completely.
First Class and Days of Future Past. Apocalypse was horrible, but that's a misstep.
The X-Men are my complete favorites, so
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that X-Men's been pretty hit or miss. I think when the X-Men movies are good, they're great, and when
Mhm.
they're not, they're just kind of.
I think so. I watched the first X-Men from like 2000
Mhm.
a couple months ago, and it is weird. Like it is not aged well at
Yeah.
all.
X2,
and then
same thing. X2 is also
X2
really
was
good.
better though. Like
Yeah, X2
it's
was pretty
not
good.
as stuck like trapped in its time as X-Men 1.
X-Men 1 was also like the first big superhero movie that
Yeah.
started this whole
Mm-hmm.
superhero
I'm
train
well aware.
back in
Yeah.
2000. Like when you think back to it, like X-Men at this point isn't that big compared to the rest of the Marvel movies. But
Mhm.
X-Men 1 was the first one. It came out like 2000 maybe.
Yeah, 2000.
But yeah,
No, like you were talking about with whichever movie, Iron Man.
Mhm.
When I first saw that first X-Men movie,
Mhm.
changed my entire life.
yeah,
That's why I started caring about like even Batman and all these other
Mhm.
superheroes, is because they like their characterization, I guess, was really
Yeah.
awesome and interesting to me.
Mhm.
Like
yeah.
amazing.
And there's lots of there's lots of inner meanings to like the X-Men and like
Yeah.
what it's like to be an outcast, whether
Mhm.
that means you're
yeah.
LGBT, Black, Hispanic, whatever. Like if you are different in some way, you can relate to it, which like I think gave it a lot of help.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And like just like Wolverine is cool. Like watching some guy pull knives out of his fingers and stab somebody is the
Yeah.
coolest thing you'll ever see.
And he always has those like funny little one-liners, but unlike Marvel, somehow he pulls it off. Maybe
Mhm.
it's just because it's
It's
Wolverine.
It's because
that's
like
always been Wolverine's character. Though.
Yeah,
he's
it's
always
his character
been
calls
like
for
he's
it.
always been kind of sassy.
Mhm.
Like Wolverine changed a lot with Hugh Jackman being cast. Because in the comics, Wolverine's like 5'2",
He's like 5'2".
but he's like really burly and really hairy.
Isn't
like,
he like Hispanic too?
No, I think
Okay.
he's still Canadian, but
Okay.
he's a little dude and he's really hairy and he's
Mhm.
really buff. Like he's supposed to like look like a Wolverine, and then they cast Hugh Jackman and.
Yeah, people
Now and then,
flipped
yeah,
when
and
that
then
happened.
and then in all the comics, Wolverine became taller, and he
Uh-huh.
became, he started to look more like Hugh Jackman.
yeah.
Because Hugh Jackman played him so well.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
think like you can't think of Wolverine without thinking of Hugh Jackman now.
Mhm.
Like eventually when they
Give it a
recast
few
him,
years.
yeah, when they recast him, I don't know how that will like.
Yeah.
Well,
He is Wolverine. Like
Mhm.
there's
To me-
never been another one.
yeah, sorry. It's kind of like recasting Batman. Like, you have to give it a lot of time. That's why I don't think Ben Affleck's working very well, because I still see Christian Bale as, like, the best Batman ever. And, like, the Spider-Mans have all, like, kind of failed, and because they're, like, one after the other. I think if they give it some time, possibly, we could let Hugh Jackman...
So here's the thing with Hugh Jackman. He's had that role for 17 years.
Right.
And like Christian Bale had it for 6. 2000. Or 7.
2004 to
2005.
Like 7, yeah.
2004 to 2012, so 8 years.
I thought it was 2005. I don't remember.
He
It
was
doesn't
still
matter.
iconic as
7 or
that
8.
role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't have 17 years. Like,
And he also only had 3 movies compared to however many X-Men movies there have been.
yeah. So I think for me, it was easier for me to accept Ben Affleck and like going back and watching Michael Keaton and then like George Clooney and Val Kilmer. And there's a bunch of like Kevin Conroy is famous for voicing Batman in the animated series and like all the Arkham video games, which like he is what a lot of people think as Batman. Like, especially in the animated world. Like if you think Batman, you think Kevin Conroy. And same with the Joker. People associate Mark Hamill.
Yeah, Mark Hamill is the Joker for me. Like that's how the Joker sounds to me is Mark Hamill.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like people were really hesitant about Heath Ledger, and then it's if not the best, the second best Joker that we've seen.
I think that's probably the best Joker performance that we've ever had. But I think that Mark Hamill is just more iconic as the Joker, I guess.
Gotcha.
Just like in general, when I think the Joker grand scheme that's how Joker sounds to me. But I think that in the Dark Knight series, in its own little self-contained world, that what Heath Ledger did was incredible, and that was just one of the best performances of the 2000s in general. And it just so happened to also be the Joker.
Yeah. But real quick, I hate people that criticize Heath Ledger for that. Like people just say, "Oh, he's just playing crazy." Like that's so easy. Like it's so captivating every single time he's on screen.
Exactly.
And like if you read up about it, how he poured himself into that role, like it literally killed him. That's how important it was to him.
Yeah.
Just
while we're go ahead.
So if they end up combining like Marvel and X-Men and things, I really hope that Marvel like they make their movies darker, I guess, and like you were saying with the X-Men, like they could have like a deeper meaning somehow and make it more impactful instead of just going to the movies for brainless nothingness.
So the thing with me is, excuse me, for me, Wolverine needed to be R-rated because he is fearless and like ripping people open. Like it made sense. It wouldn't make sense for me to see like an R-rated Spider-Man, but like if they picked and choose, like I think Guardians of the Galaxy would be like a funny, raunchy R-rated comedy. Like that would be great.
Yeah,
or even
like a Deadpool kind of tone with Guardians. I think I could see that working.
Yeah.
Especially if you got someone like Drax or Groot who are like that strong and they could physically rip people apart and stuff.
Like, just over the top, it would be awesome. But like, I don't think Marvel's ever going to do that.
No, definitely not.
At least not while the mouse is in charge.
Yeah.
But, Connor, are you going to say something?
I was going to say another thing, we're talking about R-rated, like, possible movies was Star Wars as well. Talking about that, how does it fit, like, the role of that? I mean, that was a question when the guys from Game of Thrones got a new series.
So, for me, I would have to, like, the only way I could get into that is, like, if they did, like, what Netflix did with Daredevil, where they made it, like, a pretty hard R TV show. And then, like, that made it easier for me to, like, warm up to the idea of R-rated superheroes. So like if there was some like small thing that kind of eased me into it, I feel like that would help. But for me, Star Wars has never been about like gore or foul language or nudity or whatever. Like it's just an adventure that you go on, and like it's not super gritty. Like there are stakes and there are emotional moments, but
And I feel like that's more of like a family-friendly thing. Like what got me into it was like my dad was super invested.
Yeah,
and,
same
like,
here.
I watched it with my family, so I feel like you could never exactly make it R-rated.
I think talking about this, like so with Logan, one thing James Mangold said about why he was excited that Wolverine was rated R was not just because now we get to see Wolverine chop people's hands off and there's a lot of blood and stuff, but also with an R-rated movie, there's deeper stuff that you can get into. Like there's the themes can be more serious. If you're targeting this at adults, you can make it like there's more you can do besides nudity and violence. Like you can get more real with it. So I think that with something the size of Marvel or Star Wars, you've got the tentpoles, you've got the episodes, you've got the big Avengers movies, but I think that with all this money and with also all this other source material, they could start doing smaller projects, especially since Star Wars is now doing the Star Wars stories. We could get into like maybe some more smaller stuff where you let a director kind of take that universe and roll with it and see what kind of new or interesting ways you could tell stories within this already existing context.
Like Thor.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
People are gonna think we're farting, but there's just like construction
yeah,
going on.
someone's like drilling into the ceiling directly above
They
us.
said,
But,
"Baby boy Ben's in here
yeah.
tonight."
Yeah.
Not on my watch.
But
Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off because we've been talking for a long time about
Can I
this.
say one more thing?
Go for it.
Okay, so back to going like on the Joker thing. I heard this one thing, like with comics, there's always been the ability to have like a side story. You give a writer a character in a world, and you try to let them make an out of continuity like run, or like a couple books or a book, and kind of let that just not affect the actual continuity, but kind of just let it exist.
Well, that's what Logan is. Like,
Yeah,
Logan
yeah,
does
yeah.
not fit the continuity.
And so I heard, I think he was listening to Kevin Smith's podcast, but he was talking about how DC was sort of talks into maybe starting to do that kind of thing with their properties, is let there be like a side movie that doesn't affect anything. And what I heard was that there are talks to make a Joker, or like, I don't know if it's origin story, but a Joker movie, produced or directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio as the Joker.
What? That has to be a joke. You
No,
are joking.
no, like
way. All right, I'm gonna ask you to prove that for me.
Okay. I'll look it up, but I think
that is the greatest thing I've ever heard. But
right.
we're gonna continue on to the next topic because we've been talking about this for a long time. So first off, I think like ending thoughts.
Produced by Scorsese, directed by Todd Phillips.
Oh my gosh.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Oh, I hope.
now
Oh, I hope.
now the greatest movie of all time has been written and produced. So anyways, so final thoughts. Disney buying Fox. Do we think that's a good idea, or do we want that to happen, or do we not?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say no as well.
Of course, I'm gonna say no. I hate big business.
We need
Corporations.
Teddy Roosevelt back. We need to come trust bust the mouse.
Yeah, because like I think if Disney bought them, they would control like
It's like 24% or something.
22, 24 is what I saw, which is like that's crazy. Like, me personally, I would much rather have different companies with different takes on different properties as opposed to one giant conglomerate. Okay, so we'll move on to our next topic. It's March now, and
Scary.
It's scary, but March is basically becoming the new April, and April is becoming like the summer as far as movies go. I feel like movies, big tentpole summer movies, are being released earlier and earlier. Like what came out last year? Logan came out last year in March.
Logan, Doctor Strange? Was that a March or was that a fall?
That was November.
That was in November.
Yeah, but
Ragnarok came out
November.
November. Okay, it was Doctor Strange, and then a year later was Ragnarok. We got.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think what Marvel movies we got last year.
We got Spider-Man. We got
Spider-Man was the
Thor.
early one.
no
It was
Spider.
like June.
That
What
was
was
July, and then Guardians was May.
It was two
So
separate ones.
regardless, movies are coming out earlier and earlier.
Mhm.
Things like Ready Player One, A Wrinkle in Time comes out Friday. So I think it would be the perfect time to discuss some movies coming out in the summer. And basically what I did before the podcast is told everyone to pick a movie that people are hyped about, but maybe they should pump the brakes on. Maybe it's not going to be as good as everyone hopes. So does anyone want to start with a movie that they thought of? Okay. Okay.
Nose goes.
Yeah, just so you know, Ben is a loser. He lost nose goes.
All right. So I really don't want this one to be true, but Incredibles 2, I'm extremely worried about. I saw the first trailer. It was like a minute and a half trailer, and boy, did it make me worried for Incredibles 2.
I didn't even see it. I avoided it because I just want to go in and see it. But
Something that worried me about it also is, and I know I'm the only girl here, but I think it's super cool that the mom is going out and she's like Elastigirl and everything.
Yeah.
But then when they went back to the dad, he was really struggling with it and having such a hard time, which seems like it's going to be one of the biggest conflicts in the movie. And I feel like that would have been a good point where they could say, like, dads can stay at home and do things and have fun with it instead of make it such a huge problem and terrible.
Yeah, 'cause I think it would be really interesting to see a lot, because the first movie was about Mr. Incredible. Like, it was basically his story with his family. And then I hope this next movie is kind of the opposite with Elastigirl. I think that would be really interesting. The thing that worried me most about this trailer was like the jokes were for the most part dumb. The story like seemed really kind of not cohesive, kind of all over the place. It picks up right after the first Incredibles, which, by the way, one of my favorite movies of all time, hands down my favorite superhero movie of all time. And like, I have such high regard for the first Incredibles, and seeing this trailer for the second one made me think that they're going to miss the mark, because Pixar lately has been hit or miss. They just did Coco, which was very well received.
Ethan Ravens.
Yeah, you can ask our executive producer, Ethan Ravens. But then they had Cars 3, and now someone's hitting a hammer on the ceiling. They had Cars 3, which was mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Cars 2, which people...
I've never been a fan of the Cars movies. Even Cars 1 I thought was bad.
They had Monsters University, which people were like, okay on. Yeah. What else? They had The Good Dinosaur. Does anyone remember that?
I didn't
see
see
that.
that.
Was it like Finding Dory, one of theirs?
Finding Dory was really good. I liked Finding Dory a lot.
I hated it.
Ooh.
I really did not
I liked
like
Finding
it.
Dory.
I didn't hate it. I just thought it was really boring and like.
It was okay for a sequel.
So is that what we're gonna settle for now though with Pixar? Because if we remember correctly, we get Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., Incredibles, WALL-E, Up, Ratatouille. Like the best
all
animated.
All 3 Toy Story movies were great.
Yeah, some of the best animated movies of all time. Like, and now we're getting to this point where, you know, like it's just iffy. Like everything's kind of
I just think Disney's just going too much. They just are going for the money instead of, I don't know. Back when Pixar was still small and stuff, they were getting all these cool new stories that could never have been told before. But now we have 3D animation, we can do this stuff, and now it's more like, well, which one of these movies we made a buttload of money? I almost dropped the F-bomb. Which one of these movies we made a buttload of money off 10, 15 years ago? Can we make a sequel to and make an awesome buttload of money off of this time? I just think, I mean, and that's Disney across the board. Like we're seeing that with, again, Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar now too. I just think that.
I think the difference with Marvel and Star Wars is that they're still making good movies. Okay, that's unfair though, because Pixar is making good movies. Inside Out was 2013.
I also haven't seen that one. But
Inside Out is amazing.
I heard it's amazing. Yeah.
I cried, and I cry a lot, I now realize.
Inside Out was, to me, classic Pixar.
Was Big Hero 6, was that Pixar or was that just straight Disney?
That was Disney animation.
I thought that was pretty good, but that's...
Yeah. Well, so that's the other thing.
There's one we were forgetting. There was the year Good Dinosaur came out. Didn't Pixar make 2 movies?
Yeah, I think that other one was Finding Dory.
Might have been.
Anyways, I am extremely worried for The Incredibles 2. I hope it doesn't fall into the sequel trap of like Cars and Monsters Inc. and Finding Nemo. But then again, they show how to make great sequels with Toy Story. So that is one that I would say you should kind of pump the brakes on and maybe think it might not be as good as you hope.
They're also making Toy Story 4.
Yes. Which, like, come on, can we get some new... Toy Story 3 was probably the best one out of all the 3.
Agreed. So.
Yeah. But do we need it?
Yeah, at this point, why go back to it? Like,
exactly.
I feel like it's finished.
It wrapped up nicely. Like, they took the toys, they took them on this 15-year adventure through Andy's life, they gave him a solid ending, so we don't need anymore.
Me personally, as great as Toy Story 3 was, I would have been much more happy with a new, like, IP property, whatever, that, like, would have given me maybe less of a reaction, but was still something new that I could get into.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that they don't just recycle all their old crap. Like
you don't want to have. Yeah, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say real quick. The second we see WALL-E 2 is when I'm out. Like, there is no reason for a sequel to be made or Up to. Like, if that ever happens, neither of those movies need sequels.
I think depending on how Incredibles does is kind of gonna be the sign for what's to come next. Like, I mean, it's gonna be good. But like,
it's gonna do incredible.
Yeah, it's gonna be incredible. But like now, after that, they'd be like, oh, what else can we do? And it's really gonna get out of hand.
The thing is, Incredibles 2, unless it gets like a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes, they're gonna make a ton of money. Yeah. So, I don't know. I hope that, like, if Incredibles 2 is bad, then people won't come out to see the next Pixar movie. But usually, their movies do good no matter what.
I feel like the thing is, like, now Pixar movies aren't doing as well if it's something new. Like I don't know anybody that saw a Good Dinosaur. I know one person that saw Coco. Everybody saw Toy Story 3. Yeah. Everybody saw Cars 2 and Cars 3. Like people are going to see the sequel. Well, I didn't see them.
I didn't see it.
But like I just think that the Pixar movies that have been like new stuff, I've not heard too much about. Like Inside Out, everybody liked that one, but I don't know. I just think that.
Well, so here's the thing with Coco. Yeah. I think we're all college students and we don't want to pay money
to go see a kids movie
for a children's movie, but like that made a lot of money and it also just won the best animated Oscar. So like, it's getting its recognition. Yeah. So there is, I think. In order to talk more on this, I think we all need to go see Coco with straight ratings.
Then Ethan will get off our backs.
So yeah.
Wink, wink.
So just be skeptical, people. Mm-hmm. So who wants to go next with their movie?
All right, well, I'll go next. First off, I would like to talk about Solo, but I don't think that's the one I'm most worried about. I'm actually most worried about Ready Player One, which I've heard a lot of hype for. I've seen the trailer, I've seen all that. I don't. I mean, it's a Steven Spielberg. I can't speak. I can't pronounce.
He's
movie.
The blockbuster machine.
Yeah, he can roll. He can just roll them out. But
I mean, no one saw the post, but that movie was amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's
question.
So interesting.
Yeah. So is Ready Player One the one that's really similar to Tron? Right?
Kinda,
stylized, yeah. It's about the video game world.
Basically, the idea of Ready Player One is remember everything from the 80s. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
But it's not just the 80s anymore though, because they've got
Marvel's.
They've got Iron Giant. They've got Marvel heroes. Like
I saw like Tracer from Overwatch.
Yeah, I was like,
and the Spartans from Halo. Like what? It's like, hey, remember these pop culture things? Let's throw them into this movie. Yeah, like, that's what this movie.
Well, it was like it was a book that came out, I think, in the 80s, and like it was really big.
Ready Player One?
Yeah.
No, it came out a couple years ago.
Oh,
it was like 2011. I think I was like, it was really recent.
Yeah, it's a recent.
Oh, I thought the book came out a while ago. But or is it at least the book was mostly, or it took place in the 80s or something? Like there was much.
No.
I don't know. I really know nothing about it. I thought it was supposed to be
stuck to like 80s references.
Yeah.
I haven't read it, but like I've done a lot of research on it, and like it sticks to 80s references. Like the kid like is a savant of all like 80s pop culture. Like he knows every single line to war games or something like that. Like
good movie.
Yeah, and like so the reactions I've heard is like. Sorry, I'm totally trampling on your subject.
Go for it.
But like, the reactions that I've heard is that like, if you want to watch the '80s in 2 hours or read the '80s in like 300 pages, this is the book for you. So what are some of your concerns?
I just feel, just judging about the trailer and the hype, it just seems so built on like nostalgia and just like, oh, remember those cool things in the past? That's gonna sell a movie. Like,
bro.
Like it is, yeah, it really is. And I don't get this huge like hype train that I've seen recently about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go see it, but I don't know what to expect really.
And similarly to like A Wrinkle in Time and Tron. Sorry, I know that sounds random, but they show all these cool adventures in the trailer and they kind of pique your interest. But once you get into the movie and you see it, there's actually no adventure or arc that's like keeping you entertained.
I don't know if we're going to talk about Original Time later, but I was very confused by that trailer when I first saw it.
I am very worried. So, real quick tangent. I was going to put that as mine, but I thought Incredibles 2 was more of a hot take.
Gotta get more clicks.
Incredibles 2 sucks. That will be the title of the podcast. I was really confused. Not confused per se, because like I read the synopsis, and I'm still kind of confused. I don't know. It looks insane. Like I don't know how that's gonna be.
Have y'all ever read the book or seen the other movie?
No. There's another movie.
Oh yeah, they made a Wrinkle in Time in like early 2000s, I think. But it was obviously wasn't that big. But so I love that book. I have a signed copy of that book.
Really?
Yeah. It's a really weird subject matter. Like it's about these kids who go to find their dad, and their dad is like a physicist who's like figured out how to travel through time through this thing, like through reality, through this thing called the Tesseract. Like he's figured out how to wrinkle time or whatever to get like. It's very weird and it's very out there, and it's also like really kind of creepy and dystopian, and I'm kind of excited for it.
Mm-hmm. So I really like
but-
Ava DuVernay. But she's only has like what 2 movies that
Yeah,
she's
something
done.
like that.
She did Selma and another movie. I thought Selma was great. It was very well
She did
directed.
Selma? I thought
Yeah.
Selma was a guy.
No.
Who is this?
Ava DuVernay. She's the director. Yeah. So also in this movie is Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, and
Zach Galifianakis.
yeah, Zach
cast
Galifianakis,
is like-
Oprah Winfrey, and Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Like the weirdest cast I've ever heard.
You're right.
And,
She did do Selma.
So yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
nothing in the trailers really excites me other than the visuals. I think.
Yeah.
So the thing with those 3 characters, their names are Miss Witch, Miss What's It, and Miss Who, I think.
Oh god.
And
See,
they're-
this
no.
makes me really.
And then
want to see
like
the movie.
the guy that Zach Galifianakis is playing is this guy, and he's called the Happy Medium. Like there are 3 like people that kind of take these kids on the like kind of guide the kids on their journey, and they're supposed to be like really weird, wacky ladies because they also know all about the. It's been a while since I've read it or seen it, so I don't remember the exact specifics. But like
was the
they're-
early 2000s movie any good?
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I think that it was just kind of okay.
Okay.
But
That's how I feel. The
it's not really something. It's not really a book. I think that can be adapted into a movie. Honestly,
and I
like,
think people are saying the opposite of Ready Player One. I've heard people say that the book was cool, but when I read it, I felt like I was watching a movie. So
yeah.
it's interesting to see how those 2 movies turn out. If
I think
What you
A
said.
Wrinkle in Time. I feel like it's. I don't think it should be a Disney movie if they're gonna make it into a movie. But I'm curious to see what they do with it.
I mean, I really like Ava DuVernay. I follow her on Twitter. She, you know, tweets lots of cool stuff, lots of like filmmaking tips. But anyways, do you have anything else you want to say on Ready Player One?
Nothing really else.
I mean, I think we can all say that we're kind of worried for that movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
at least some way. Yeah.
Yeah, like I really hope it's cool. I really hope that it's not just like
Like I'm not rooting against it. I want it to be something, but I don't know what it's gonna be.
yeah, because like it would be cool to see like Halo and the Iron Giant, and I think like Freddy Krueger's in there. Like it would be cool to see all those like if it's like 2-minute action scene,
Yeah.
and then the rest of it
Yeah,
is
just-
like action.
I'm worried that it's just gonna be too much.
Yeah,
There's gonna be too many things trying to go on at one
yeah.
the
time.
Time Machine DeLorean has been like marketed like crazy. Also, if you look up Ready Player One posters, they just put up a bunch of like homage posters to 80s movies,
Oh boy.
and they all look like I did them
Oh.
in Adobe
No.
Illustrator,
Oh.
which I do not have any experience in at all. Like they look awful. They look like someone went online and posted it to Tumblr.
Are you talking about this one that looks like Back to the Future?
Is it legal for you to put that in
I
this
don't even
video?
know if that's.
That's
What,
fine.
I don't even know if
posters?
that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
no,
looks-
that is real.
That is real?
They're,
Oh my-
they're showing up on street corners.
You got to put this poster in so.
Yeah,
whoever's
Okay,
listening
so
is like
hopefully on screen I remember to put in posters of this god
like,
awful
it looks like.
abomination of art.
Ben, don't play yourself down like that.
Oof. Oh, there's one supposed to be the Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah.
Yikes.
Oh.
Uh,
Like it's
Yeah.
just a bunch of CGI characters and they put clothes from the movie. Oh. Good
Yeah, this
gracious.
is. Oy.
Yeah.
rough stuff, kids.
Oh, there's
Okay.
one that's supposed to be Rambo. Oh lord.
All right. So
There's a
Ready Player
Blade
One
Runner.
could be bad, could be really bad.
Beetlejuice. Goonies.
Yeah.
Man, they really just took a bullet. Well, that's 70s, but like they took
I think they did like
Lost Boys.
10 or 15 posters.
Lost Boys again.
They just churn those out. You can
They-
tell
well,
them the
they-
quality.
Iron Giant again.
Yeah.
Man, they really did just. Wow, these are.
So Steven Spielberg did Bridge of Spies, which a lot of people liked. I didn't see it.
I liked it. It was good.
The Post I really liked. I thought like it was a good political thriller that we have not seen in a long time. But he also did the BFG, which people thought was
Didn't see that one.
garbage. Yeah.
It was a good kids movie.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
I also kind of feel like at this point, Steven Spielberg, there's like some movies that you're like, he directs, and then there's the movies he quote unquote directs where he just sort of like.
Yeah,
really
he
just kind of
shows up
cruises it.
and tells his assistant director what
Yeah.
to do, and then goes back to.
So like ghostwriting, but for movies.
I think that Ready Player One is one of those that he didn't really probably touch too much. I think BFG is probably the same deal. I think that probably with The Post and Bridge of Spies, he probably had more a direct hand in because they feel more like a
I
Spielberg
really
movie.
wonder his involvement with Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Also, War Horse. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that. Oh, it's so bad. It's like, it's so boring, and like not necessarily a truly terrible film, but because it's so boring, you don't want to watch it ever. Okay, so Ready Player One, scary. Scott Varn, I'm just gonna pick on you.
Yeah, we already kind of went over this, but mine's Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's July, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I going back to 2015 or whatever, when Age of Ultron kind of killed my hype for it. Ant-Man was another big part of that because I was really excited about it. Just because it was another hero we hadn't heard too much about. Ant-Man is pretty interesting in the comics, and I was like excited. It's like, oh, we get a superhero named Scott. That's fun. And then I just thought that Ant-Man had so much potential, and they really like could have gone Ragnarok with it, and just like if they had, there's like one scene in the movie where I think that they kind of like. What I think they should have done more often was it's like the final battle in Ant-Man where they're in the kids' room, and then they're on the train, and then they're fighting, and then Thomas the Tank Engine, like 3 times bigger than the Ant-Man, like rolls up, and he's like, oh no, and then they cut away, and the train just, like the toy train just falls over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could have done, like, so much with the fact that this guy can go, and then he can grow up really big, and they missed the mark for it.
A lot of people had a big problem. Edgar Wright, who directed Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and most recently Baby Driver, which was amazing.
Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors. I love him.
He's a comedic mastermind.
Yeah, and I am so mad that he didn't get to do Ant-Man.
He was originally slated to direct, and
he worked on it for years.
Yeah, he was working on it before Marvel was a thing. Like in 2003,
I think he was just doing it for fun. Like that was just a passion project for him. And then they were like, "Yeah, you could do this," and then they canned him.
Yeah, he wanted to make it more of its own movie as opposed to tying in with the Avengers and all that.
Yeah,
and so they kicked him out.
Yeah,
and replaced him with a director named Peyton Reed, who I only know him from directing the 2009 Jim Carrey film Yes Man, which, like, whatever, it's a fine movie, but like,
Bring It On, the cheerleading movie.
Oh, Bring It On.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, it could have been so great. I feel with Edgar Wright because he has such a unique style, and it just went in the can.
Are you saying Bring It On does not have a unique style?
Bring It On does not have a unique directorial style. Bring It On has a funny comedic style.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree with what you're saying.
That's. I kind of I'm on the edge because I do sort of like the more recent direction that Marvel's been going. I guess I think that my excitement for Ant-Man and the Wasp will be a little bit more solidified or dissipated after Infinity War, just because, which they moved up a month. They moved it to April.
No, just 1 week.
It changed months, I guess. But I think I'll be more excited or disappointed or unexcited for Ant-Man after I see Infinity War.
That's another thing that bugs me is that like Infinity War, like Ant-Man and the Wasp are in it. Like you know they're going to be back in 2 months. So like, why do you care about these characters?
And I also not a big fan of Evangeline Lilly.
Like, she is such a bland actress.
I was really into Lost back in like middle school, and Kate was never my favorite character. And then they put her in The Hobbit. Oh, don't even. Lord of the Rings.
This man loves the Lord
of
the
Rings.
Rings.
Are my favorite movies. Like, I will kill somebody over Lord of the Rings. And then I was so excited for The Hobbit, and the first one was really good.
Really good?
I thought it was pretty good.
These are his favorite movies.
I mean, I liked The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I liked it most when it like was emulating the previous trilogy.
I think that the first half of The Hobbit is really good.
Yes. Okay.
The second half of first half of Hobbit Part 1 is really good. Second half, it gets it's not as good. And then 2 and 3, 2 is way less good, and then 3 is
2 is passable, 3 is garbage.
The fact that they made an entire almost 3-hour movie out of one page from that book is the book's only like 200 pages.
Yeah,
and it took
it's
one
the
page,
shortest book.
Yeah, and the Battle of the 5 Armies, literally the main character is supposed to get knocked out at the beginning, and he misses the whole thing. And they just sort of Tolkien briefly goes over it, and they made a whole like movie out of it. Yeah. Anyway, off topic. Evangeline Lilly, I did not like her in that movie. I just think she's, I don't know, she's pretty, but she's not interesting. And I wasn't a big fan of her in the first one. I just wasn't a big fan of
She was like
Ant-Man in general.
in the first movie, Ant-Man. She was like the tough girl character, but like I don't know if it was the writing or her performance, but like it was just very clear that she was saying, "I'm the tough girl."
Exactly.
Like I hate when we do that.
Yeah, and
like just make it.
Write better female characters.
Yeah, for some reason, it's worse for me if you have like a total like overly sexualized character. It's worse if you just have a character that's like, I'm the tough girl.
Anything
like,
Michelle Rodriguez is in ever.
Yeah, like when they say to the camera, I'm not going to be the damsel in distress, that to me is like the worst way to write a character.
Yep.
And if you go ahead.
I think that it's so important.
Let's probably get the girl's perspective on
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
Thank you. And any character, it's so important to have that vulnerability and showing it as a strength, because since women are so characterized by their like emotions and everything, when you see a character that's like strong because they can tune in to like how they feel, that's even more important than being like, I don't feel anything because I'm a badass.
Yeah. Well, like, tap into what Ridley Scott did with Alien. Like, he just wrote a character without a gender, and then Sigourney Weaver was cast, and she's like the coolest female heroine of all time. So, like, just write a character. For me, this is my personal philosophy. Write a good character, and then if you want to change it based on their gender, like, then go for it. Because there are lots of things that you can talk about a man's perspective and a woman's perspective, and like that can make an interesting movie. But when you just say, I am the tough girl, that does not make me care for
Which
your
is just
character.
like,
yes.
that's how you punch.
Going back to Wonder Woman was really cool because she never said, I am the tough girl. She was the tough girl.
Yeah.
She like was determined, she was strong, she was like the best, and that's why she was a cool character.
Yeah, she didn't need to acknowledge it or like say it. She just was. She just did it. Like that's the best part of it. Yeah.
And also important to note, directed by Patty Jenkins, who is a female director who probably has more knowledge about that than a male director might.
Definitely.
Woo woo! Go ladies!
Also, I love bringing up Joss Whedon's Wonder Woman script. That is like the worst sexist thing anyone's ever read.
I haven't read it.
It's like. It's all
You should
about.
send me that. I'll need to look into it.
Yeah, if you look it up, it's like all about her sexuality and like not about her. Like it's just so misguided. So yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp. You got anything else to say on that?
No, not really. Kind of said all I need to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your movie, Sally?
So I wrote down a lot of things, and I think the one that I'm kind of excited about, because I think it'll be bad, is Mission Impossible 6.
Right. I will fight you on this one.
So I think it probably,
I have no
like, it
doctor's
could be good, or it couldn't be good, but I thought, they should start naming them, like, the Fast and Furious movies, if they're going to keep it up.
Mission 2 Impossible.
Exactly.
Fate of the Mission Impossibles. What was Mission... whatever. Stupid.
And, just like one of the things that I noticed in the trailer is I thought, oh, this heroine looks like, or the main lady, she looks like older. That's really interesting and cool. And then I looked it up, and she's still like 20 years younger.
Are you talking about the British girl?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. The one... She was in the previous movie.
I don't keep up with Mission Impossible 6. I just
Okay.
think they're funny. But please fight me on it.
Okay, so here's the thing with Mission Impossible. They are really, really dumb. Mission Impossible 4 was a smart action movie. Mission Impossible 5 was one of the dumbest action movies I've ever
Which
seen.
one was... It was 4 Rogue Nation or was 5 Rogue Nation?
5 was Rogue Nation.
And 4 was Ghost Protocol?
Ghost Protocol.
Okay.
So yeah, they are really, really dumb movies. But they have Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. They have Ving Rhames being Ving Rhames. They have Simon Pegg being Simon Pegg. And then recently Rebecca Ferguson, who was the new kind of female agent in the last movie, she was awesome. She was kind of like a double agent, spoiler alert. Double agent, going back and forth, and just like wouldn't take any crap from anybody. She was really cool. A lot of her fight scenes were really cool. So yeah, the cast for me in now Mission Impossible 6 is going to be really cool because like they're all good actors. Like they can read a script and know how it should be on the screen.
One of the things that I saw in the trailer, like a few times, were in certain ways I feel like they tried to mimic John Wick, and like there was a scene with mirrors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like while I really enjoyed John Wick, I thought it was weird to see that in a Mission Impossible movie.
So here's the other thing with Mission Impossible movies. Their action scenes are based on whatever time period they're in. So like in the 90s, the first Mission Impossible was like a spy thriller because that was kind of the popular thing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the early 2000s, it was a ridiculous, cheesy action movie directed by John Woo. Who, if you know John Woo, he's known for being over the top.
Yeah.
And then Mission Impossible 3 was like the J.J. Abrams action spy movie. And then it's kind of been what's the word I'm looking for? Like going off of that.
Yeah. The only one I've seen is Mission Impossible 1, so I have no context for this.
Yeah, so they've been going off of like what Mission Impossible 3 set, which is just like action movie with little plot. Which to me is fine because what gets me through the movie is Tom Cruise and all of his supporting cast like just joking around. Jeremy Renner's also in it. He's great. Just like having fun. Like you can tell they're having fun making this movie. And then every single movie, there's one or two action set pieces that are phenomenal to watch. This past one, he was hanging off the plane. That was great. And then he like swam.
He does that in this one.
No, that's a helicopter. He's flying a helicopter.
Is it different?
It's cool because he flies it down like the freeway. It looks so sweet.
I do have to give props to Tom Cruise for
Hanging
actually doing
yeah,
that stuff.
Yeah. And if you see behind the scenes, he like totally missed on a stunt. If you watch the video, I have to say like it's really sad, but it's kind of hilarious. He totally busted against the side of this building and like twists his ankle.
He's like jumping up between. It's like between like sky like buildings and like crazy like basically, I don't know why.
And they kept the shot in the trailer, which was really funny for me. But yeah, like every single one of those movies, each of those like set pieces is worth the price of admission for me. And like I'll catch them on TNT on a Tuesday night and watch them until the end because like I don't know, they're just fun. You can turn your brain off. I know that's kind of a negative thing to say, but
I mean, it's good to have like kind of almost like a spectacle, you know, like kind of like this big. Oh, I'm just gonna go see this thing.
Yeah.
It may not be the most coherent or most like
yeah
understandable story, but I'm just gonna like it just because like what's happening. Like,
yeah, because there's movies like Skyfall, which was like a really excellent film that was also a spy movie. And then you have movies like Mission Impossible, which are just dumb action, and like that's okay.
Yeah.
So
there's a place for everything.
But they're not as dumb as like the most recent Bruce Willis.
Oh, Death Wish, or Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Yeah, no, they're not like that. Die Hard is basically we have $50 million. Let's make the quickest action movie we can because Bruce Willis hates everything.
Do you blame him?
Yeah. So yeah, I can see why you're concerned for Mission Impossible, but to me, as long as like that scene of Tom Cruise flying a helicopter down the freeway doesn't suck, then it'll be an okay for me.
That one scene has a lot riding on it.
I mean, that's all it needs. Like, and then like in the middle, there's going to be a couple of gunfights. Like, there hasn't been a bad Mission Impossible movie in like 10 years. So. Do we have any other movies that we just want to kind of throw in there as we're kind of wrapping up? Or do you have anything else you want to say on Mission Impossible?
No, but Mamma Mia?
No.
For anybody else who's excited, hit me up because I'm sure my URL will be down there in the description box and we can go see it together, gladly.
I will bet you $10 that it gets lower than 40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm not betting against those odds. Cher's in it. Colin Firth. What more can you ask for? The girl from Baby Driver.
Not the second Mamma Mia movie. That's what I can ask for.
I feel like every
How
single
dare you.
like comedy that waits 10 years and then makes another one is bound to be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Any of you guys, any movies? We talked about Wrinkle in Time.
Can we talk about Solo?
yeah.
Sure. Let's give that a quick chat.
So, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. There's a lot of people who are not so big fans of the sequels and the fact that we're getting a Star Wars movie every year. I, at the moment, am probably connecting with high school Scott, who is feeling like it's about superhero movies. But I'm like, yes, just give me more Star Wars. Like, I'm okay with more Star Wars. Han Solo movie was not something I ever asked for or thought I wanted, but now that it's happening, I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna be there opening night, and I'm hoping it's gonna be really good.
Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, what I'm most excited for this movie is Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. Like,
Same.
See, I'm actually more excited for the actor that plays the young Han Solo.
I'm interested. I'm really interested.
Alden Ehrenreich, who's in Hail Caesar,
Mm-hmm.
which he has hands down, he's the funniest character in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see what someone else
I think, yeah, definitely he has the most, like, I think pressure riding on him, his performance for this. Because that either, like, it could possibly make or break the movie, possibly. It depends on what happens.
People are going to be scrutinizing the hell out of him. Like,
Anyway.
Because even
people scrutinize Daisy Ridley and John Boyega and, like...
Yeah, I think, but with this, they're not people... I think that he's going to catch a lot of unfair flack because he's not Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are going to go in expecting it to be the Han Solo we saw in A New Hope. And what I think... I mean, this movie is obviously going to take Han Solo and develop him into that. I mean, we're obviously going to see the Kessel Run. We're going to see the important stuff. We're going to see him getting the Falcon from Lando because, you know, we have to hit all these things we talked about in the sequel, originals.
We're going to hear his, quote, real name. Like, supposedly his name is not Han Solo.
No. Don't do that. No, definitely don't do that to me. But I think that people are going to give him a lot of unnecessary... I'm going to go in with an open mind, and I don't... From the trailer, what I was seeing is he does not seem like I don't expect him to be Harrison Ford, but I expect him to kind of be, like, you know, have the same sort of deal that Han Solo does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
just quippy and, like, a wise guy.
Like, just confident, suave, rogue, you know?
At first, when I saw the trailer, and also knowing that there's actually another... a guy that does like an impersonation, I guess you would say, of Harrison Ford, Anthony Gruber, if you ever heard of him. At first, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this Han Solo, but then I thought I don't want to see a straight up impression per se. Like, I don't want to see a guy playing Harrison Ford. I want to see someone develop Han Solo, not just like I'm gonna be the same person you've seen throughout your life. I actually changed my mind about that.
I think like what I hope for the most with this movie is it's just fun and it doesn't try to change too much. Like change too much in the Star Wars universe. It can change throughout the course of the movie.
Yeah, I don't want it to have big implications.
Like I don't need a Rogue One.
Yeah.
I don't need it to, bridge the gap between something and something. Mm-hmm. Like just give me a fun movie, have them run away from that tentacle monster, have them say, I have a bad feeling about this. Like, just give me those beats and I'll be fine. Like,
the one thing that I really don't want for this movie, and it's gonna happen, is Emilia Clarke to just be the stupid romantic subplot.
Yeah,
like, I'm dreading that completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think she's a great actress, and she could have a much better role. And another thing is she looks exactly like Rey and, like, any other, like, girl in an action movie.
They always pick brunette British ladies.
Yeah. Jen, Leia, Padme, Rey, whatever this girl... What's her... Anybody know what...
Emilia Clarke?
Yeah.
Kiara,
whatever. Yeah, they do kind of all...
Yeah.
Let's get some blondes in there.
Or literally anything else.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be skeptical, but I think, at least me personally, like, you're better off just, like, going in and just letting it happen.
I really wish that Phil Lord and Christopher Miller had been kept around.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't like Ron Howard, but I think that I was way more excited for a Han Solo movie when it was those two, because I love the Jump Street movies. I love the Lego movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really would have liked to see what they did with Han Solo, because Han Solo is already a funny character.
Yeah.
But
if you read up on that, it is fascinating what went on. Like, from day one, it was uneasy with the two of them and Disney. So,
I think there was just a lot of tension. Like, I think they wanted to do their own thing, and Disney's like, no, the mouse demands this. And then Walt Disney's head floating in its glass jar somewhere was telling them what to do, and Lord and Christopher Miller wanted to make their own movie.
Screaming anti-Semitic.
I recently saw this what is it, a conspiracy theory that they made the movie Frozen, so when you typed in Disney Frozen, you wouldn't get Walt Disney's head.
That's the best theory I think I've ever heard.
And you know it's true.
Because it's originally called The Ice Queen, that story. Wow. All
Two
right.
birds, one stone.
There you go. All right, well, we're going to end on that. To whoever is listening, thank you for listening.
We
are
love
at
you.
Hour and 20 minutes, believe it or not.
Nice.
I was trying to get to an hour, but then we just got off.
We're so excited.
So yeah, I'll put all of our respective social medias in the description. If you want to check us out, we're on youtube.com/SGTV. You probably are already there. Share this with your friends if you think they might be interested in 4 idiots talking about movies.
Beautiful idiots.
Beautiful
Funny
idiots.
Or young, beautiful idiots.
So yeah, spread this around. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.
2 weeks. Next week, spring break.
Oh yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. That's a lie.